gathered all the female attorneys at Antonini and Cohen, and we just wanted to ask you a few questions. And our last question is, are there specific women in history or contemporary figures who have influenced or inspired your legal career?
Okay, so my very first historical inspiration, I was 9 years old and I was watching, now this is going to age me. I was watching the black and white TV and I was watching this fabulous woman who was the head of a whole nation, and her name is Golda Meir. And I am going to tell you, this woman was like nothing I had ever seen before, and perhaps nothing I've ever seen since. And I was in awe. And at that moment I thought, I know what I want to do when I grow up. I want to be that. I just thought it was extraordinary. This woman was in a room full of men, in one TV shot, just arguing with them and telling them what was going to happen and how it was going to be. In the next shot, she had them all in her kitchen table. And these guys were all very uncomfortable. They were just sweating bullets. And she was the leader of a nation. And it was the first image that I had of a woman holding such an international, important position. And I remember this image because it lived in me and I was in awe of her. And then I started paying attention to women like her. I stopped paying attention to like fairy tales and I started paying attention to women like her because I thought it's women like her that I really find are my role models. So wherever Golda Meir is, I still think The Rock, and I still would want to be like you, except that nobody can be like her. And she was it. She was my very, very first historical inspiration.
So for me, my historical inspiration was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or Notorious RBG, as we sometimes know her. And I remember reading something that she said about sometimes it helps to be a little deaf. And I think the context was in her home life, but also in her working on the Supreme Court. And she would say sometimes if you're a little deaf, then you don't get so angry or emotional about something that was unkind or just wrong. And then you can be more persuasive. And I really liked that. And I thought sometimes it does pay to be a little deaf. But I just also want to say that, Carolina, you're all of our inspiration. So when I first started working, I was a law clerk for Carolina and Marshall. And Carolina, I remember I hadn't seen anybody like Carolina. And she knew so much. She knew more than everybody in town. She was unapologetic. She was so fiercely female, as you were saying earlier. She didn't dial it down and that was really inspiring to me, and it's still inspiring to me. Sometimes Carolina can just tell me exactly what I wanted to hear and need to hear in this specific moment in my life. But seeing where you being the first Latina judge in Georgia and kind of just trailblazing, and when you see somebody who looks more like you or has done the things that you were hoping to do, it's easier to follow in their footsteps. And so I just wanted to say you're that for me, and I know the ladies here are going to say the same thing.
I think to Nisha's, when you said unapologetic, that's exactly the word that comes to mind when I think of you. And I think I've told many of you this story before, is the first day of classes that you had at Georgia State, and I had already started working for you, and you came out in a pink tweed suit. And you said, "How does this look for my first day of classes?" And I was just like, "I love this woman. Like, I never want to leave. This is everything I want to be." But for me, law was kind of like a dream. To Nicole's point, I didn't know anybody that was an attorney until I met you. I had said that's what I wanted to do. And then I saw you being an attorney and being an attorney unapologetically and fully being yourself. And that was so inspiring. And then it became a goal. And it's like, okay, I can actually do that. Like what I've been saying that I think I want to do, I can actually really do it because she's done it, because she's there already. And so thank you. for inspiring me and I think all of us in that way.
Yeah, I don't think I actually have a historical figure. I think I'm more inspired constantly by my contemporaries, by the women in this office. Sometimes I go to Nisha, she gives really pragmatic advice, like, do it this way. And I'm like, yes, like, why didn't I think of that, everyone I think in this room, Sonal is really great at getting in the mindset, I think, of, how the government might think. And she does that so she can best help her clients prepare to what they're up against, and she really does a service to her clients. So sometimes when I need that, I have to go to her office and be like, Sonal, help me. What do you think I need to do? Kathy, I think, is fantastic working with clients. Like, whenever I'm like, Kathy, how do I explain this in a way that a client is going to understand, in a way that's going to mean something to them, I go to Kathy. I went to Kathy yesterday, and, Kathy is constantly, I think, helping me. And I just feel really inspired by the women in this room and the other women immigration attorneys that I know that do really wonderful work.